In all of my years collecting, the aspect of merchandise that interests me the most has to be prototypes or unreleased products. Anyone can go and buy a released piece of merchandise, but prototypes are infinitely more significant. Today, we'll be taking a look at a plush prototype that, before its discovery, was completely unseen. No one publicly knew this plush existed until it was found, and there is a high chance the plush I'm showing you today is a one-of-a-kind item. The company Kellytoy has made quite the name for itself over the years. They specialize in making arcade plushes that, well, let's just say range in quality. But in 2009, they got the Sonic license and started producing Sonic plushes for arcades and carnivals. The line lasted until around 2013, but they only ever released one wave of characters. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Shadow, Cream, Silver, and Super Sonic were all made and released, coming in various sizes as is standard for arcade plushes. However, the Kellytoy lore runs deep, as many of their plushes went unreleased, some of which weren't even announced. Moving away from Sonic for a bit, some unreleased Kellytoy plushes include 2 entire sets of Cartoon Network plushes made for the shows Chowder and The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, which were shown in one of their catalogs but never materialized. Along with those, there have also been long-rumored canceled Nintendo plushes such as a Fire Mario, as well as a Yoshi. More on that later. In the case of Sonic, there were eBay auctions for never-before-seen metallic variant Sonic and Tails plushes, complete with sample paper tags. For their Silver and Super Sonic plushes, Kellytoy used this metallic material which, while not really looking that good, did make them stand out. I guess they thought of doing variant metallic plushes for at least Sonic and Tails as well. The story of how the seller got these plushes has never been told, and we have no idea who owns them today. But in any case, they were just the tip of the iceberg with cancelled Kellytoy Sonic plushes. Fast forward to 2017, when my friend El Supersonic Q made a video highlighting the cancelled Cartoon Network plushes. In the comments, an image that appears to be from around 2011 was linked. The image is a leaked look at the inside of Kellytoy's showroom, the area where they display internal samples of all of their plushes. We do have some official images of this room from their website, but nothing this close up. The picture, which by the way was apparently posted on 4chan, highlights the Cartoon Network plushes. We can see Chowder, Flapjack, Captain Knuckles, nearly all of them. They sure have an ocean of schnitzels down at the bottom who wasn't even in the catalog. While all of this is incredible to see, and it's great to know Kellytoy kept at least a handful of samples of these guys, the plush that caught everyone's attention can be seen in front of Bubby the Whale. Your eyes do not deceive you, that is a Kellytoy Chao plush. But not just any Chao, as you can see, there's what looks to be a red piece attached to his chest. What is it? Well, while we don't have official confirmation, there's almost an 100% chance that's totally a bow tie, and this is totally a Kellytoy Cheese The Chao plush. They did make Cream, so it does make sense that they would want to make Cheese. And he looks really good from the one angle we get to see of him. He's got his wings, his tail, his yellow highlights are all there and well done. He honestly looks a lot better than any of the other Kellytoy Sonic plushes, and it's an incredible shame we never saw this guy released. And this is the only picture we have of him too. We don't even know what his face looks like, but we should be thankful we even have this. Notice how Cheese isn't with any other Sonic plushes? Someone at Kellytoy must have messed up and accidentally put him with the Cartoon Network plushes, and it's thanks to that one slip up by that employee that we know he even exists. For the record, I would love to see the Sonic portion of this showroom. I'm sure there's tons of crazy stuff to see there. For instance, maybe a Werehog plush? Yes, Kellytoy had plans to make a plush of Sonic the Werehog from Sonic Unleashed. In March of 2018, various listings of what appeared to be old stock from the factory that produced Kellytoy plushes started to show up on the Chinese shopping site Taobao. It appears the factory that produced Kellytoy plushes has been doing some inventory cleaning, and given what they've sold off, it seems this is the first time it's happened since at least the early 2000s. Plushes from nearly all of their licenses such as Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Max and Ruby, Curious George, and more have all shown up. The catch, however, is that, as this is old internal factory stock, a majority of these are either prototypes or samples. How can we tell? Well, take this Great King Max plush for instance. On first glance, it looks like your standard Max and Ruby plush toy, but check out that tush tag. Item number, size, date? This tag isn't like the final King Max plush at all. It has item codes and various details written in for use in the factory. This is a sample King Max plush, a prototype Max and Ruby item. Some of the plushes they had were simply final plushes I guess they kept around the factory for reference. For example, this Shadow plush, which I did end up buying. Though with that said, there was another Shadow plush that showed up that was a prototype, with him lacking any tags, and him appearing to be smiling, much like one shown in early Kellytoy catalog images of Shadow. Over the past few months, this seller has been listing tons of old factory stock. So many cool items have appeared, and also the seller is selling these off for as cheap as possible. They just want to clear out stock, so these have been priced very low. Because of of that, they sell out quickly, meaning a lot of these cool, possibly one-of-a-kind items sold out before me or my friends could find them. However, we have been able to successfully order quite a few. I personally have gotten, well, the focus of this video, along with this Kellytoy Donkey Kong, who may appear to be the same as the final plush, but has a sample tush tag. I was also able to get this Amy Rose plush with a very interesting tag, but more on her later. Along with that, I've been able to get some other miscellaneous stuff such as Kellytoy Spyro plushes for very, very cheap. This small one was just 5 yuan or 73 cents USD. Anyway, let's talk about Kellytoy Werehog, the Kellytoy Sonic plush that evaded public knowledge for nearly 10 years. Here he is, the unreleased Kellytoy Werehog plush. First things first, where do I begin? The fact that this plush even exists alone is really surprising. Kellytoy's lineup of Sonic characters was pretty standard, at least not counting Cheese, who of course just like this Werehog never came out. Werehog would have really shaken things up, considering he's a game-exclusive character coming from Sonic Unleashed. It does make sense, however. Given the line was first released in 2009, chances are production of the line started in 2008, right when Sonic Unleashed hype was high. It makes sense that Kellytoy would want to capitalize on the next big Sonic game. As for the plush itself, he stands at around 12 inches tall. I'm not sure if any other sizes of him still exist, but I'd bet they were tested. All of Kellytoy Sonic plushes were made in several sizes, ranging from very small to very large. It'd be insane for a 52-inch Werehog to exist, but he may. As for how the plush looks, I can sorta see why he was never released. He doesn't look bad, in fact some aspects of him look very nice, but he doesn't look very accurate and definitely not like a final product. His inaccuracies though make him one of my favorite plushes in my collection. I love how his spikes, which look way too long, lack the light tips at their ends the Werehog is supposed to have. Also, he only has 5 spikes, not 6, making them have this star-like shape that looks very odd. He looks kinda lean by Werehog standards too, though his arms and legs do have some girth to them unlike the other plushes in the set. It's actually quite cool to see a Kellytoy Sonic plush that isn't 90% leg, as if you know anything about these guys, you'll know that Kellytoy made them with super stretched limbs, most likely to make those huge carnival prize sizes easier to manufacture. Werehog's proportions all in all look pretty alright. His face is a real eye catcher. His mouth is very wide, he has fangs detailed in with embroidery, and his eyes lack white eye shines, making him look kinda creepy. He'd look way better with those. Besides that though, his face looks pretty good. His muzzle is a little understuffed, making it appear bumpy, but that's not too bad. He even has eye ridges, though they don't really make him look angry like the Werehog usually looks. He actually looks pretty happy. Maybe he's just really happy he wasn't destroyed like many prototypes are. Now Kellytoy Werehog can live a fulfilling life. He escaped the Kellytoy factory. I'm so proud of him. His body is well shaped and his stomach circle is accurately placed, being a nice light blue color. His arms are pretty big, with the ends of them having the white fur they should, which transitions into his hands pretty well. His hands are opened, and his claws are made of flat gray felt. His legs are a little weird looking. Due to the way they're attached, they bend at the knees, making him look a little strange when sitting down. At least they aren't super long like most of the Kellytoy Sonic plushes. His shoes are fully detailed, with the spikes here being detailed with embroidery. The soles of his shoes are really interesting. As to detail the spikes on the bottom, they use this material with lots of little bumps. It's not at all accurate to how his shoes are supposed to look, and honestly I sorta wonder why they thought this was a good idea, but it's unique. Wouldn't this be pretty expensive to produce though? If they were going to produce this plush in larger sizes, a, say, 52-inch Werehog would use a ton of this material. I'm surprised they didn't just skip the detail here and make it flat. Now here's a very interesting part of the plush, his tush tag. This is the standard Kellytoy sample tush tag that can be found on all of the samples produced by them. It reads, Kellytoy sample, not for resale, and then 2 lines for info regarding the individual sample itself, such as the sample number and the date it was produced. Unfortunately, these 2 were left blank on my Werehog, which is such a shame because that's pretty important info. The number would have clued us into how many of these guys may exist, and the date would have given us an exact time of when he was being worked on. Oh well, even without all that, it's still a really cool tag. He's also unfortunately missing the sample paper tag seen on many Kellytoy sample plushes. Maybe this guy was taken off the manufacturing line and was left unmarked and untagged for preservation reasons? He was kept at the factory for years, so maybe he was used for reference, which is why he's lacking all of that. This whole plush is so mysterious, there's so many things to wonder about with him. The big question with this guy is, of course, why wasn't he released? Honestly, it's anyone's guess. I'm not sure if this would have been on Kellytoy or Sega's end, and all we can really do is speculate. I doubt him being cancelled was because Sega just didn't like how the plush looked, but maybe it was more because of the initially poor reception of Unleashed and the general reaction to the Werehog as a whole. That would make sense, but Jazzwares released their Werehog plush in 2009, but it did have a pretty limited release, unlike Sonic and Shadow, who were in the same initial wave. Actually, while researching the Jazzwares Sonic line, I came across this thread on Toys News International regarding the Jazzwares Sonic line. The head of the line, Joe Amaro, created the thread and would occasionally drop by to give some updates on how the line was progressing. Well, in his first post, he said, "On the bad news, Sega Japan said no to Werehog plush. Maybe later they will say yes." Well, in Jazzwares' case, they did eventually say yes. This was posted back in December of 2008, and the plush came out sometime in mid to late 2009. It's possible Jazzwares pitched their Werehog plush twice to Sega of Japan, was rejected the first time, but approved the second. So, maybe Kellytoy was rejected the first time they pitched it, but just never tried to pitch it again? By the way, it's pretty interesting to see how the colors on both the Kellytoy and Jazzwares Werehog plushes aren't exactly accurate to Werehog. I'm not exactly sure why that would have been the case, but keep in mind these both were made around the same time and were made before Unleashed came out, so maybe these were based off earlier designs for the Werehog before his colors were finalized? Anyway, that being said, GE's Werehog plush was made for years, but then again GE was able to make tons of obscure Sonic characters. The thing with these three Werehog plushes is that they were all made for sets released in different circumstances. Jazzwares' set was made to be stocked at your standard retail toy store. GE's line is a more specialized hobby shop line, which is partially why they were able to get away with the characters they made. They didn't need to worry about Werehogs clogging up store shelves like Jazzwares did. Kellytoy's plushes, however, were available to be won at arcades and carnivals. Anyone who went to a carnival would have seen these if they were stocked there. Maybe Sega just didn't want Werehog to be seen by so many people. As ridiculous as that sounds, maybe they wanted the Kellytoy set to be a very generic and basic set of Sonic characters, to represent the Sonic brand at its most basic form. This could also be why Cheese was never released, as these two are more niche. Though I feel that logic is more justifiable with Werehog. Cheese would have been so popular if he was released. It's all just speculation though, and until someone with direct ties to this plush comes out and speaks about what happened with it, if that ever even happens, we'll never know why he wasn't released for certain. But hey, Werehog wasn't all I was able to get from that Kellytoy Taobao seller, so let's move on to an item both less significant, but arguably more interesting. While Werehog was a completely unreleased plush, and one of the greatest finds out of this Kellytoy factory stock, this Amy plush I got for a mean 5 yuan, or 73 cents, holds an interesting meaning. The plush itself is the standard 9-inch Kellytoy Amy, but she lacks a tush tag, and has a completely different paper tag than what is seen on the final plushes. Many Kellytoy samples we've seen, such as those metallic Sonic and Tails plushes, have this sample paper tag. The top half is white, with red basic text reading sample, while the bottom half is dark blue, with a golden Kellytoy logo on it. The sample plushes also always have a sample tush tag, the same as the one on my Werehog. Unfortunately, a ton of the sample plushes in the factory stock lacked these tags. Whether they ever had them or they were just removed is unknown, but it's a shame as without it, most of these plushes seem fairly standard. Take this Kellytoy Luigi for example. Unfortunately, someone got him before me or any of my friends could, so we'll likely never know if this was a mythical sample Kellytoy Luigi, as no photos of its tush tag have or probably ever will be posted. Who knows who even got it? Same for many of the prototypes in these listings. A bunch of them sold out before we found them. I don't even want to think about what would have happened if Werehog sold out before me or my friends found it. I would have felt so horrible for letting it slip, as we may never see another one show up for sale. Finding these was really a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I seriously cannot say how honored I am to have this guy. Anyway, right, this Amy. She does have a tag, but it does not say sample. It's a completely different tag. It reads, "First?" I had never seen any Kellytoy prototype with this tag prior to this Amy, which makes sense as the word first implies. It seems like this tag was used for the plush that was first in production. Now, it's not confirmed, but it doesn't take a Sonic merchandise lore god to realize first probably means the first one ever made. So it's likely this Amy plush was actually the first ever finalized 9-inch Kellytoy Amy. If that's the case, that's insane. I'm sure there were earlier Kellytoy Amy prototypes than this one. For example, here's a pretty weird looking Amy from the 2010 catalog, but once Kellytoy had a pattern approved and ready to go, they would have moved on to manufacturing samples of it, which would be Amy plushes with the sample paper and tush tags. However, for some reason it seems like Kellytoy makes special note of the first plush in production, and that's really cool! As for the tag itself, the front has this nice maroon and yellow color scheme, with the text first as well as a Kellytoy bear symbol. This is just really interesting, and it's cool to think that Kellytoy takes so much pride in their work that they would go through the trouble of signifying the first in production like this. This is some really cool insider stuff. I love stuff like this, and again, it's an absolute honor to own this. The back of the tag is a lot like the sample tush tag. It's for internal documentation and info on the plush itself. However, unlike my Werehog's tush tag, this does have some writing on it. For the item number, it says V80274/9-inch. I guess that was Amy's item number, and this is the 9-inch Amy. Underneath that is what's labeled as description, though it's anyone's guess what DP11149 means. These are definitely some internal codes for stuff relating to the plush, so it's very interesting to see even if we don't totally understand their meaning. Under description is a line for packing, but that was sadly left empty. Shame there's no date on this or something to give us an idea of when it was made, but I suspect that'd be late 2008 to early 2009. While it's true this Amy was the first plush I had seen with this tag, this listing showed up a few weeks later and has another Amy with the first tag. This one is one of the larger sized Amy's, but it's a little weird how both of the first plushes that seemed to be saved at the factory were both Amy. This listing with the larger Amy was posted a few weeks after these listings started to show up, and eventually more people caught on to the listings happening, so eventually it became nearly impossible to order anything from them, as stuff including this Amy would sell out instantly. I am so lucky that the Werehog listing was in the first batch of them, as if it was a few weeks into the Kellytoy factory selling their stock, I'm sure someone else would have gotten it. Unfortunately, we were not lucky enough to get all of the unreleased Kellytoy prototypes that showed up. Let's talk about some of them. One of the last Kellytoy factory listings to show up was this box. Now, try to not look at the Shrek head keychain down there, but instead, check out these. This is a group of small Mario plushes, all of which look different than the released Kellytoy Mario plushes. It looks like these are cancelled small keychain-sized plushes that Kellytoy planned to make. You can tell these are definitely Kellytoy as their tush tags are the same as the sample tush tags we've already looked at. What's amazing is that they look miles better than the original plushes, so chances are they were made later into Kellytoy having the Nintendo license. However, you can still see the Kellytoy influence. Mario's proportions look very similar to the released plush, but Luigi and Donkey Kong look completely different. Not to mention this guy. That's right, Kellytoy Yoshi was going to be a thing at one point. Well, make that 2 points, because look at this guy. It seems to be an even earlier Kellytoy Yoshi, one that looks, may I say, more in line with their original Mario plushes. It seems like this whole time Kellytoy had plans to make a Yoshi plush and we had no idea. Yoshi has always been on the Kellytoy Nintendo tag, so we had our suspicions, but to see he actually existed is mind-blowing. It's so sad that this guy never came out. It looks like he would have fit right in with the other oddities of the set. His nostrils, his overlay conjoined eyes, his pale green color, this screams Kellytoy. But it seems even though the 4 released plushes made it past Nintendo, this Yoshi was not approved or released. The other Yoshi here looks much better, as do all of these 4, so I'm not sure why they never came out. Probably something like Kellytoy's Nintendo license not being renewed, as the line did end around 2007. By the time I found this listing, Yoshi had already sold. Same for these 3. However, Donkey Kong was still in stock. 2, in fact. L Supersonic Q ended up ordering them, but what he received was not the Donkey Kong seen in the photo, but instead one's more closely resembling the released plush, only one is in a different pose, and both of them lack the shiny fur the final DK has. This whole situation is really fascinating, and it's rare to get such a clear look at so much cancelled product from a company. This is really something that will never happen again. It's a miracle the Kellytoy factory didn't just throw all of these away. For preservation's sake, I'm so glad this happened. Though, these just bring up more questions. For example, Yoshi was always on the tag, so a Kellytoy Yoshi existing makes sense, but so was Link. Could a Kellytoy Link plush prototype be out there somewhere? Without confirmation saying one way or the other, it very well could. Kellytoy was going to make a Yoshi plush. Kellytoy was going to make a Cheese plush. They were going to make a Werehog plush. There's clearly tons of unseen content from Kellytoy, and that's really fascinating to me. Just how far does this rabbit hole go? Could a Kellytoy Link plush exist? Is there actually a Fire Mario prototype? Are there more cancelled Sonic plushes than what we know about? Cheese and Werehog were never shown off, so who knows what else could be out there? And you may be thinking, why don't you just contact someone who worked there during this time to get to the bottom of this? And while that's a great idea, we've tried. Kellytoy employees seem to be very hard to find, and I have yet to get in contact with someone who would know something about these, let alone could speak about them. At the very least, I am beyond happy that these samples survived. And not only did we get to see them at all, I have the honor of owning these. Werehog especially. It's absolutely incredible, and while he isn't the nicest looking plush, the fact that I own what could possibly be the only remaining one of these guys out there is such an incredible feeling. I am so happy I was able to find and show these to all of you. Preservation of this stuff is what I'm all about. It's easy to overlook the fact that real people put lots of time, effort, and passion into these plushes, and when they're cancelled, all of that goes to waste. So, I do all I can to preserve these cancelled pieces of merchandise. To whoever you people are who designed and worked on this plush, you guys did a great job with him. Even if he doesn't look entirely accurate to the character's design, he's a really charming plush, and it's a shame he wasn't released so more people could enjoy it. At least he lives on in this sample. And while the mystery of Kellytoy just seems to grow every day, they're certainly one of the most fascinating plush companies I've ever looked into. Who knows what other secrets they may be hiding. But for now, you could say the Kellytoy plush possibilities are endless.